Hi, John Dwyer here, and I'm about to tell you the importance, or why it's important, to collect data, because I'm going to show you the difference it made to this particular restaurant, which is in the millions of dollars. Okay, so let me tell you how important it is for all of us to collect data. I had a client a few years back called the Lobster Cave, and it is a very upmarket restaurant in a suburb called Beaumaris in Melbourne. And I guess if you are in Sydney, it'd be something like Manly or Mossman or Balmoral. It's an upmarket suburb, maybe in I don't know other states, but certainly here on the Gold Coast, it would be the Millionaires Row at Broadbeach. It was in that sort of area. So therefore, this particular restaurant's main meals started at about $50, and a very successful operation. But Bill Ferg, the owner of the restaurant, came onto my consult program, and he explained to me, the first thing I ask anyone is, what are you doing at the moment? And he said, oh, we're spending about $500,000 on newspapers and Melbourne radio. Now, I highlighted to him that because his restaurant was at Beaumaris, which is a good 3/4 of an hour drive, if not more, from the heart of Melbourne, then probably 90%, if not 95% of all of his radio ads, and likewise with the Metropolitan newspaper, the daily newspaper, 95% was probably wasted, because the majority of his audience came from, understandably, about 5 or 10 kilometres around his upmarket restaurant. You would go to this restaurant and you'd see the cars parked outside, BMWs, Mercedes and so forth. So therefore he was wasting a lot of money on communication strategies that really just didn't suit this day and age. So I said to him, look, I can probably save you $500,000, bang, like that. And he realised I was a smart aleck, so he said, okay, smart aleck, how are you going to do that? And I said, well, listen, why don't we do this? Are you collecting any data? Now, guess what? He wasn't. And so therefore we gave an incentive to the waiters and waitresses that for every name and contact detail they got, they'd get 50 cents. And we gave them just a little entry form about the size of your iPhone, which basically said, would you like to win a dinner for 10 of your friends at the end of the month? Just fill in your name, email, and the most important thing, your mobile phone number. And so therefore, if Sally was the waitress at the restaurant and she came up to a table where there was 4 or 5 people, finished their meal, she would say, look, before you go, how would you like to win dinner for 10 of your friends? All you have to do is just fill out this form. Yes, I know it's old fashioned, I know it's not an app and all these wonderful modern things that you can do, but it's so much easier for any age group to fill in, Bill Smith, here's my email and here's my phone number. Well, they're over 90,000 strong now on that database. It's a few years back, this was. But at the time, they didn't have a database. It grew very quickly because about 85, 90% of people didn't mind filling this out, okay? There's the odd one that may not do it, but most of them fill it out. For the chance to win dinner for 10 of their friends at the end of the month, you didn't have to give away $1 million to collect a database. Guess what Bill does every single day, okay? He's the only restaurant, let me just preclude by what I'm about to tell you of how he does this, but he's the only restaurant in the world who's full every single night of the year, 100% occupancy. You walk into any restaurant worldwide and you'll see a whole bunch of empty seats just about every night, except maybe on a Friday or Saturday night. He's full every night, and I'll tell you how he did it. He basically grabbed this data, obviously, put it into into his database system, and then every afternoon around about 3 or 3:30, maybe 4 o'clock, he would say to his secretary, how many seats do we have booked tonight in, let's say, 150 seat restaurant. I don't know exactly how many seats, but I think it was about 150 seats. I was there. He actually showed me how this works. He said, JD, let me show you how your system works. And so therefore I'm sitting opposite him in his office. His office, by the way, is on top of his restaurant. So he yells out to his secretary, can you come in here and show JD how this works? She comes in with a tablet and he says, how many seats have we got booked in the 150 seat restaurant tonight? And she goes, oh, 80. And he said, well, we've got a lot more seats to fill. Why don't you send out JD's bullshit text message number 4, okay? I forget what I had even written, but when he came on board, I gave him half a dozen, if not a dozen, text messages. And this text message for this particular day was, Chef Pierre would like to invite you to enjoy dinner at our Lobster Cave restaurant tonight. And it's a special deal. It's a lobster tail meal for 2, and it's just $68 or whatever it may be. But you better hurry because it's only available for the next 30 minutes. Now guess what? She would send that text message out to maybe 500 or 600 or 700 of his list, and she'd walk in 10 minutes later, or she did walk in 10 minutes later and say, all booked out. All booked out with one text message. Why? Because they had collected data and understood how to milk that data. This is some comments that Bill has to make about how successful this and other campaigns were at his restaurant.
Let me surmise JD. JD brings to the table efficiency, productivity, speed. Now, if you want to be successful, you need that in your business. JD delivers that. Direct response campaigns he's referred me to have been unbelievably successful. The gift offer we had was you buy a $100 gift voucher, dining voucher, and you receive 2. We promoted this on SMS, newsprint, radio. We sold over 3,000 sales. We sold over 3,000 gift vouchers. Now, that is a record for the Lobster Cave, as we have this campaign running every Christmas. JD and JD's suggestions, JD's directions, JD's involvement has been a key component to this success.
Okay, so therefore he also, because he was a destination restaurant, he also had a number of celebrities and sporting stars who used to eat at the restaurant. So therefore I took advantage of making sure that we captured that when I was visiting him. This guy, I think you'll probably recognise, his name is Sam Newman.
I've been coming here for many, many years. It's an institution. I'd come 3 weekly or monthly, yeah. I have to travel a long way to come here, but I think it's a journey of pleasure. My taste buds start to salivate as I get closer. I know you think this is overdoing it a bit, but believe me, I come here a lot and I think it's fantastic. And I have been to a lot of restaurants around the world, and this is, as I say, unique. Having good food is one thing, but delivering it by competent and polite and expert staff who know their wines and their fish, of course, and the whole menu is the other part of what makes a great restaurant. And this is the package here, and I have no hesitation to say that.
Now I could show you a whole stack more of video testimonials, and that's another one of my favourite hobby horses. For goodness sake, if you're going to capture testimonials, get them on video. Video is about 10 times more powerful as a testimonial than if you just write, you know, Betty Bankstown's name and what she may have said. So please just grab your iPhone. It's so easy these days. You don't have to have a camera crew with you. Just get your iPhone and get someone to say something nice about you. Generally speaking, the best testimonials, by the way, are what was life like before they met you or your product, and what's life like now after they've met you and used your product, okay, so, or your service. That's about it. I must say to you that if you ask me the question, well, how many businesses collect data? I mean, it seems like it's a pretty sensible bloody thing to do. I'd say less than 20% of all businesses worldwide collect data. You tell me the last time that you went into a restaurant or cafe and they asked for your details. The funny part about it was, coming out of the COVID-19 lockdowns, as you will know, is the restaurants by government law and cafes were told that they had to collect your data. It was the most ridiculous thing in the world in terms of policing, because guess what? I could write, no I didn't, but I could write down Elvis Presley, Graceland, and nobody at the cafe cared. They just took their little clipboard and walked off again, right? And the crazy part about it, my wife and myself would go to a cafe and they'd say, look, only one of you fill it in. Right, okay. So if it was like present your driver's license, which is a real form of identification, and they just simply scanned that or took a photo of it, well maybe, but to get people to write in their name and details, well, I'm afraid the government was a bit fanciful in their thinking there. And guess what? On probably 9 out of 10 occasions when a cafe owner post-COVID-19 would come up to us and say, look, can you just put your details in here? They would go out of their way to say to me, don't worry, once the COVID-19 sort of, you know, regulations are over, we'll throw that data out. We're not going to keep it. Can you imagine me going, what? For the first time ever, you've been convinced to collect data and you're going to throw it out. You are a moron. Oh dear. If you are looking for ways to collect data and wow your customers, then you might like to click the link above me or below me, wherever it is here, because we have this incredible, absolutely, you knew a sale was coming, didn't you? You're not going to get all this information, or free information, without me flogging my stuff. We've done a deal with an international travel company that's been able to provide us with Aussie 4-star accommodations, okay, hotels and resorts for a family for 5 days and 4 nights, and it's only going to cost you $97, which means if you're selling a product or service for $1,000 or maybe $2,000, you can lure customers by saying to them, you know what, buy from me and I'll give you a free family holiday. If you want to learn more about that, then just click the link above me or below me here, because you can give away a family Aussie holiday for someone buying your product or service, and it's only going to cost you $97.